So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab that like that. We're going to throw in a reaction wheel. It's not the hugest reaction wheel in the world, but it's a reaction wheel at least. Get that going on. We got to reattach you. And you. Last thing we want is some wobble that way. Might want to consider 2 reaction wheels on opposite sides. It's not a bad idea. The only downside is I don't have a huge reaction wheel. I only have that size. But that might not be too bad. So we'll use that. It'll help our RCS to keep us pointing correctly, especially as our weight ratio changes. I mean, it would help if our fuel tank is right in the middle, because then it wouldn't matter how full the fuel tank is, but it's not going to be that way. But the thrust to weight ratio is really good here. Oh yeah, let's turn that off. That is so handy. Thank you for pointing out what that is. So now I can always see my numbers. And yeah, that thrust to weight on the moon, that is perfectly sufficient for our landing. Maybe a little overkill, especially as we burn through some of our fuel. That's not bad. Okay, we need some solar panels. We've got plenty of life support. Especially since we're not going to bring 12 people. Or actually, our maximum crew right now is 13. We're not going to bring that many, I think. So I think maybe at most we'll bring something like 6. So we should have lots of supplies. Solar panels. Batteries are good. And it needs a docking port to be able to successfully complete this. Now, a good natural spot for the docking port is right there. I wonder if we can... Why doesn't it latch? Something's in the way. Actually, can I just put this anywhere? Technically, yes. Okay, then I will do that. It needs at least 1 docking port to satisfy the mission. It needs to be able to generate power. We don't need a retractable or anything like that. These are going to be perfectly fine. We're going to turn on symmetry. Whoops. That's probably not going to be enough power generation, though. And we're going to get these flat panels on there. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be attached anymore when we're on the surface, but we're going to want those on there. We're going to need some antennas and things. Science. I'm going to want a regular communitron on here. Maybe the nice long-range one. I think we may even have a longer range one, but we'll put this... technically, that might get hit by the RCS. Probably not. I don't think it's physics enabled, but let's offset it a bit just to make sure. We're going to want... We don't need this, because we should have satellites in orbit, but let's make sure and put in a redundant little dish, maybe. Although I don't know where. Here for now, we can get rid of it later on. Actually, if we're going to do that, we could put it in like a crazy location. I don't know. You know what? I think that will work perfectly fine. There we go. Turn on the clip. There. Just so we've got it. We shouldn't need this because we should be able to talk to a satellite that's in orbit around the moon. We've got a few of them. But, you know, just redundancy for now. Plus, this will allow us to test our landing script using this design. You know what? Our little KOS thing, which was there, is no longer there. It wasn't actually attached properly. So, I suppose I could put one of these there. Trying to get a bit long on that end, but... Already docking port behind the road. Oh, you're right, of course. There's the docking port there. This is docking port junior. Oh no, it's a full docking clamp. You're absolutely right. We don't need this one. So I will leave it off, since we're not planning on doing docking right now. At some point, we may want to expand our base, but we can bring extra docking ports with us and attach it using KIS. See? I think what we need is more solar panels. Running the science lab is quite expensive. I think that's going to be sufficient, though. I really overkilled it in the other one. This should be tons. Should be. One thing we can do, we could bring at least a couple of connectors. I don't know where they are stored. Structure? Right there. A couple of connector ports. We'll just leave them stored in this front bin here. Actually, we'll leave them stored in the back bin. Nope, sorry, the front it is. Because it'll get lighter as we go, right? This is the side that gets lighter mostly, I think. And yeah, we'll store some of those. That way, when our cart comes close, we can always plug it all back together. Although I suppose I could actually... Hang on. Instead of putting the inventory, why don't I just attach it now? It's basically a little fuel port. Oh, can I not? There we go. Right, that's our little gas thing. One there. And we'll put the other one right there. So that way we can park the rover next to it and then refuel, or not refuel necessarily, but like use the power all together as one, which might be nice. That shouldn't even require an engineer, although maybe we'll bring one just in case. Is there anything else? You always create more power generation on Moon like you did in Minmus. Yes. Push. I don't know if I'm going to bring more. Although, you know what? What the hell? Let's bring an engineer. Let's store some stuff just in case we need it. Just a bunch of extra solar panels. We don't even need, like, the standalone bits. I can just have my engineer go out and glue it all over my actual base. If we need more power. Like so. We could bring some extra batteries too, but I think the battery life is going to be huge. We got tons. These are all 4K batteries. So we're going to have 12K power just in the rear there. Yeah, we have tons. We're easily going to last through every night forever. That's not a worry. I don't know how much battery life this thing has. Oh, 500 electric charge is not bad. Although I guess it can't go like super long distance. We might have to worry about food and whatever. I don't know. It's probably fine. Oh, you know what we haven't put on here? Fucking science experiments. We need the Octo core. No, not the Octo strut. Universal storage, Octo version. Then, science. So we have exactly 8 of these octo-shaped ones. Wonderful. Here, I'll put the mystery glue in the bottom because I know it doesn't really need to extend. Actually, the telescope doesn't need much space either. Pressure mat. Science Junior. And solar particle connector. Now I've got the boom. Ah, there's the boom. Good. Full set of experiments over there. And you know what I'm tempted to do? Is throw some more RCS on the back. Just some of these linear ones. I don't think we need the left and right as much. Just the up and down, because that'll be the hardest thing to balance. I suppose we could throw some of there too, but no. Check the center of mass. Yes, let's recheck that. Because most likely, we'll have to make a little bit of adjustment. I'm going to take this one off. Make sure it's still in mirror mode. Pull that over that way. Okay, mostly centered. And again, it will shift a little as we use some of our supplies. But that'll be good. Now with the reaction wheel, one reaction wheel on both ends, some extra RCS over here in the bit that sticks out, I think we're going to have sufficient stability. I think. So let's run one more test with our landing script. Oh yeah, we do have the KOS. Good. Right? That's this thing here? Yes. Excellent. Can I change the disk space? Oh. Oh, cool. You can upgrade your amount of disk space. That's very cool. Simulate. Moon orbit, 15 kilometers up. Powers antenna. Crew. Yeah, we have a pilot. I mean, we'll want more crew, but we're fine for now. If Stephen Colbert's taught me anything, it's that bears are always a concern. You're right, Arcant. Always number one on the threat down, right? Yes, streaming for science. Okay, no passengers. It should move me to the moon. Okay. Cool. Some science possibly available. Deploying the solar panels automatically. Thank you, MechJeb. We've got our gear deployed. So, open the terminal. We're going to copy lander from 0. Oh, right. We don't have a connection. We need to point this antenna to Kerbal and then turn it on. Show me my supplies. And get rid of this thing. Okay, you are going to face retrograde. Oh. You're going to click on the MechJeb. Say control from here. That way, the up is this part as opposed to that part. Right? So now we are going to be facing our rear end in the direction that we're moving. In this case, our rear end is that part. Okay, so this was entirely on reaction wheels. Throw in a little RCS. Good. Run lander. We are still in simulation. Okay, setting the SAS. It's going to take 3 seconds to make sure we're facing... Actually, 1 second. I changed it. Oh, activate the engines. So we're now burning retrograde to kill our horizontal speed. Technically, what we could do at this point, instead of locking onto retrograde, is we just lock onto the horizon instead. But this is good enough for government work. So this is all hands off at this point. I'm just turning the camera to, you know, watch things. But other than that, horizontal speed, I think this will drop us to below 30 and then it'll kill the engines. See, technically at this point, we're burning a little inefficiently. Just to kill our horizontal. And that's why I might want to do the horizontal burn off manually from now on. But it's not the end of the world. There we go. Horizontal speed is 20 meters per second, which is fine. We're going to stay locked on retrograde. Used up about half our fuel. We could use a little bit less to slow down a little bit more efficiently, but we still have lots of delta V. We have sufficient delta V for a landing. That's not the question. The question is just, can this beast land itself? So I can fast forward at this point until our altitude drops quite a bit more. Okay. There we go. It's going to point itself retrograde again. I think right now it's got a speed limit of about 200 meters per second, which I don't think it'll cross. Once we get under 3K, does it... Yeah, it's going to try to keep us lower than 150, which it's burning now. It's able to keep its balance nicely. Very nicely. It's drifting a little bit, but not much. It shouldn't have to use max thrust most of the time. It's trying to keep us below 100. Actually, we're getting a little bit lower, so it's going to probably try to drop below 50 at this point. Definitely. It's going to full burn here. Full RCS is having to be used to try to keep ourselves stable as well, which is not quite ideal. We might have to drop a little bit slower. It's less efficient. Yeah, I think we're going to crash here. What? No, maybe we're fine. Maybe we're fine. Holy crap, that is sketchy as hell. We are quite high in a mountain, though. That's also part of it. Look at this. Killing the engines. It can land. We're sliding. Really? Quite the slope we landed on, although we didn't tip over anything. Landing script is good. I might change the numbers to bring us down a little bit slower. But the script works. We're landed. And this can, you know, work on science. It can also construct training, which is good. Okay, end the simulation. Revert to the hangar. Well, what I think we do at this point is I could save it as a subcomponent. What I think I'll do is just call this the lander module, or LM, there. The LEM, and we're gonna exit here. We're going to go into the vehicle assembly building. And then I'm going to load it there and rotate it. You're always too cautious on everything. I don't think I'm too cautious. I think I'm just cautious enough. What am I going to do? I'm going to open my folder. I'll bring it up on the screen in a second. Well, actually, I don't know how important it is. I'm just going to load up my script for my lander script. And there we go. My lander script, and I'm just going to change some of the numbers over here for the speeds. Just to be a lot slower on coming down, because it's taken a little while. And the fact that it keeps having to sort of adjust, it doesn't have perfectly balanced thrust once we start burning off some of our fuel. If it's having to kill a lot of speed a lot faster, it's going to have to thrust a lot harder, and that makes me a little bit concerned. I'd rather thrust very gently, so that way the RCS and the wheels, the rotation wheels, will have time to catch up with things. So tell you what, let's add in, if we're below 5K, bring it down to under 100. If we're below 2K, try to bring it down to 50 at that point. Then 25, 15. Actually here, let's do it like 7.5. And then 5, and then 2. Much more similar to our Minmus landing script. Less efficiency, but much safer. Okay, I like it. Okay. So, let's go into the VAB and stick a giant engine under this thing. Rawr. This thing has to into space. Alright, we are going to open that. Okay. Then we grab this whole thing. Oops, not Alt, Shift. Did it auto-rotate it for me? That's very handy. Thank you. As soon as I hit Shift and grabbed it, it flipped it around. So yeah, we're going to bring this way up. Blammo. We can retract and retract. It'd be really nice if we can build a fairing over this whole thing, but I'm a little concerned about stability. We might be okay, actually. What we're going to do is we want a decoupler. We want the other one. Decoupler. Nope. Big one. There it is. I'm going to sort by size more often. Decouple there. Then we want our fairing. Yeah, it's called Airstream. That's the 375 one. I think we're okay with this one. I think we can build everything in the 2.5 scale. Actually, I don't think I've got a choice. Now that I think about it. Okay, cancel this. Hold on. Before we do this, we're going to get some structural supports. 4-way should be plenty. We're going to connect from here to there. I'll connect to the antenna. Yeah, sure, that's fine. That looks stable and sturdy. Ish. Build fairing. No. Let me see here a sec. By cross section, we don't have the big engines, so we can do the bigger fairing, but it won't fit. So it doesn't fit over the engines. I think we might have to go fairing-less, which isn't going to be particularly good for aerodynamic drag. But we're just going to have to deal with that. Okay. So, I mean, we've got the launch thing. This next stage we're building is basically maybe circularization and translunar injection and maybe a lunar orbit. So we'll need quite a fair bit. This might be overkill. But honestly, I'm not sure. And then a poodle. Really? This has a almost 2 to 1 thrust to weight ratio? It's actually pretty amazing. I expected this to be a lot worse off. Okay. Bit nutty. But let's keep going. Rockomax. Oh, it's under structure. Sort by size. The other way. There it is. So if under this we throw a mainsail, how are we looking? How's the thrust to weight so good? This feels like it should be monstrously heavy. Oh, because the moon! Hey, whoa, hey, hey! Thank you very much for the donation. Hold on, carbonite this thing. Okay, that feels much more reasonable. Who dat? Jizagaya! To see if it works for me. Thank you very much. Are some of the, is the stream tip not working properly, guys? That would be bad. Thank you very much, Jizagaya. Appreciate that. Okay, so this is much more what I expected. I mean, having a low thrust to weight on the space stage doesn't matter. It's going to take a long time to burn, but the efficiency can be totally fine. The takeoff, actually, 1.24 is fine. Anywhere between ideally 2.5, like 1.25 to 1.5 thrust to weight is okay for takeoff. This is a little bit lower than I might like, but it's not going to matter because we're going to throw on some extra engines on here.